Happy Tuesday, everybody. Very flattered that the Kentucky Tribune, I can't say that I read it a lot or have ever, but apparently they did a story about little old me, and I'm always so touched and flattered by that, so I wanted to say thank you. I generally don't consider myself that relevant, but I understand the relevance now that I put my name on the ballot for the Kenton County Family Court 2nd Division. So I did read at least the first part of the article. I was curious. And I saw that they said that I was controversial. They described me as controversial. And I can't resist. I have to just say a few things about this. And on the one hand, I understand why that adjective might be used. Okay, let's be honest. I have been described as comfortable in my own skin. And I think that that's true. I feel like I know who I am. It took me a while to figure that out and, embrace crazy old me. But, thankfully, by the grace of God, I have been clean and sober for, a lot of 24 hours strung together. Now, 19, approaching 20 years. And, a program of recovery, has a way of, making you comfortable in your own skin. And I'm very grateful for that, and I get to live that life. I'm very grateful for life in general. So being myself sometimes does generate controversy. I will acknowledge that. I love to give people joy, and sometimes just being a goofy dude, it's amazing. You can give people joy, and even children joy. I have costumes that I like to dress up in. The chicken suit, the unicorn onesie. These are, very frankly, in some circles, these are cult favorites. I mean, these are really great things. I haven't been able to wear them in a long time, and part of the reason why it relates to my business in the Kenton Family Court, but I won't get into that. The point is that I can understand why being myself to certain people in certain circumstances would seem controversial. I don't know what to tell you there. I'm just going to be me. I think that we should all be who we are. God made all of us. We're all children of God. Everybody's different. And if you are a khaki pant, parted hair kind of guy, God bless you. If that's who you are, I'm for it. If you're a chicken suit, onesie kind of guy, I'm for that, okay? Because that's who you are. And God don't make junk. And He made you that way for a reason. I digress. The point is, I can get the pejorative aspect of controversy, and I'm against controversy for the sake of controversy. That's nonsense and stupid and selfish and pointless and dumb and needlessly dramatic, which I just really, I'm going through a stage where I really don't like that. So that's bad controversy. But I would like to talk about good controversy, because there is good controversy. And I would like to think that if I am controversial, there's way more of this kind of controversy than the kind I just discussed. And here's the bottom line. Doing the hard right thing is always going to be, hard. It's going to be controversial. And it is something that I very much believe in. Now, I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm not saying I've always done the hard right thing. I'm quite a flawed, very human individual. But I certainly aspire to be a certain kind of person. I would aspire to be a certain kind of judge. I aspire to be a certain kind of lawyer. And that is a person that does the hard right thing. And in my experience, when I have endeavored to do the hard right thing, let me tell you, it has been controversial at times. It will be controversial anytime you're going against the grain. But I observe that there are times when we are called upon to do that. There are all kinds of famous adages that kind of capture the sentiment here, but this is mine. It's going to be not very good. But, right is right and wrong is wrong. And the number of people that are on whatever side of that does not change the fact that right is right and wrong is wrong. I'm going to do what I think is right. I think it's important to stand up for what's right. And I particularly think it is important to do that when the people that are affected by the wrong, so perceived, are those who are the voiceless, the weak, the relatively disadvantaged in whatever way, the different, the marginalized, the ostracized. It has been my experience in my life journey that whether those folks get to enjoy the full panoply of constitutional rights and rights that we get to enjoy in this country, and that reflect our individual self-worth, are grounded in our individual self-worth, this basic sense of dignity to all of God's children, reflected in the legal precept that we are all equal in the eyes of the law if they are going to get to enjoy those things in practice, not just on paper, that those of us who are in a position of relative strength, that do have a voice, that are relatively, we're not wanting, that we must stand up for them. We must speak for them. That it is incumbent upon us to stand up for what is right when they uniquely are being wronged, because they're not in a position to for all those reasons. So doing the hard right thing in those circumstances, to me, is a moral imperative. It goes right to the heart of what it means to have character and to be an honorable human being, to care about others, which to me is the single most defining characteristic of this idea that we like to call character. Do we or do we not care about others? Well, let's not suggest that we do. If from a position of relative strength we sit by idly and silently, while those in a position of relative weakness are plucked and tarred and run over, I don't think that is not the idea of caring about others that I understand it to, that term to reflect, and it's not what I understand it to be. So standing up for what's right can be very controversial, and that kind of controversial I embrace, because in the end it is always going to be hard to do the hard right thing. How does this relate to the family court in Kenton County Division 2 and my name on the ballot? I was controversial in my time as a litigant and one of my own lawyers in that forum. In the course of 2 litigations that were occurring at the same time, in very difficult circumstances. And I definitely felt like I was sent to the principal's office quite a few times and was given some punishments. I didn't particularly want that to happen. I didn't like that to happen. But I will say that I think that's that controversy. I made a conscious decision to stand up for what I think is right. And it was important to me. And as it turned out, a lot of other folks shared the objections that I made. Look, the business of justice should be done on the record, pursuant to the rules, and in conformance with the law. I take this to be a self-evident truth. I will simply say that my experience in that forum, uniquely, over the course of my 20-year career, in a very, very, very different way, was not what I would expect it to be, and not what I find as a lawyer, parent, litigant, person to be acceptable. And my interest in making the world a better place by spending time down there is motivated by my belief that, to put it mildly, we can do better there. And that the people that are hurt by the systemic injustice that on a general level, I think is something that we need to get honest about in that forum, are uniquely those who are the weak, the vulnerable, the poor, those who cannot stand up for themselves. Any systemic injustice is always going to disproportionately affect that class of people, and I find it a moral imperative to stand up for what's right so that they don't get some of that injustice. So, am I controversial? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. But if I am, I hope that I am controversial in a way that reflects my commitment to doing the hard right thing, for standing up even when it's difficult to do so, for things that I believe are right, and that disproportionately affect the least of my brothers and sisters. And I definitely got in trouble down there. And that could be because I am a ne'er-do-well problem child who woke up after 19 years of practicing law, and uniquely for the first time in that forum, and nowhere else at that very time decided to be a problem child in that forum. Could be. Or I was the same person the entire time, and I found myself in a different forum where I found it necessary, uniquely for the first time in my life, in a very pointed way, to stand up for the rule of law, for doing things by the book, for following the rules, and to object to practices that, in my view, very clearly, were not in conformance with those things. One of those two. It's one of those two. And I definitely agree that was controversial. So, I hope you have a great Tuesday. I don't know. Controversial or not, we'll see. God bless.